All right, guys, we'll get started with introductions. I'm Virgil, K7VZ, and we got a small group here. I did forget the webcam, so we're using the one off the laptop. We'll do introductions in the room here, though.
Hi, this is Tom, NQ7R. And over to John.
John, November 7, November Whiskey Lima.
Mike, N7MW.
Bob, K7BHM, glad to be back on the air again here with the group.
All right, as you can see, we've got a huge crowd here. All right, so somehow can you Zoom guys go through and introduce yourself as well?
K7SP.
Ned, AA7A.
Lee,
Bob.
KY7M.
Bob, NA7RH.
Mike, K7ING Portable 9 from Milwaukee.
X.
Paul and
Kilo Charlie 1, Bravo, Bravo, Jim.
Dan K7B. Dan K9DR.
Glen, KW5GP, Memphis.
Rick, W0RIC, Sun City West.
Doug, K9RZ.
Okay, did we get everybody? I think nobody piled up there too bad. All right, we're gonna let Glenn go first, since he's a couple time zones ahead in Arizona. So yeah, tonight, excited to have Glen Popiel present to us, KW5GP. He's got an Arduino presentation. He's written a couple books that I know I brought one of mine here tonight. But he's got several books that are sold through the ARL and other sources. So yeah, without further ado, we'll let Glenn get started.
Okay, but which one of my books is the one you brought?
I've got the Arduino for Ham Radio first edition.
What color is the cover?
It's red.
Do you realize you can probably sell that on eBay for about $200 right now? I am not joking. Since it went out of print, the price has skyrocketed on people with copies.
Oh, nice. Bob just confiscated it.
Make sure you get it back.
Okay.
Okay. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. Let my system get settled out. This is not the world's fastest. I'm a Windows 7 person, and I refuse to upgrade this particular system. I'm old school. What can I say? This is actually the presentation that I did for Orlando Hamfest in February. So it was updated to that point, and I've been tweaking it ever since. But as you heard over the pre-show, I've got a brand new presentation, and there was discussion here. Do I come and present in September, or do I come now? And the decision was I'll come now and sometime later and let you see the new one. But this one pretty much covers the introduction to the Arduino. And so let's just go ahead and dive right into it. It's called Welcome Back because this is the first presentation I did after all of the COVID breaks. And y'all are probably wondering who I am. I'm a network engineer and a technology consultant for HTC Global Services. I'm located on site at Memphis Light, Gas, and Water doing special projects, consulting, things of that nature. I was first licensed as a ham back in '73. I think I was still in diapers then, but I could still work CW. And I've got 45 plus years in the field, starting with remote data acquisition, control, telemetry systems, and doing turbojet engine data acquisition for Pratt Whitney aircraft government research on the engines that they used on the SR-71, the F-14, 15, 16, and that whole line. I'm also the author of ARRL's Arduino for Ham Radio series, along with the high-speed multimedia, which is the microwave networking, the mesh networking book. And I also do QST articles and product reviews from time to time. But I also show purebred Maine Coon cats, just to show you that I do have a life outside of technology. I actually had the best Maine Coon female and the 15th best of all cats in the world back in '89, and that included winning a Best in Show at the Madison Square Garden Cat Show, which is the equivalent of the Westminster Dog Show. My current pair are direct relatives of that '89 cat. They're litter sisters and also world champions. As you can see, they double as my editorial assistants, parts thieves, project build supervisors, and general nuisances. And as with all editors that are forced to work with my mediocre material, they always have to sleep on it. So while they have fancy registered names, they're nicknamed Godzilla and Rodan for obvious reasons. And I think one of the reasons I enjoy the Maine Coon is they're basically kit cats. They come from the factory like this. You have to add food and water, so they're real easy kits. And you get Godzilla, 22 pounds, 3 feet, 4 inches long. Now her sister, I call her the smaller of the two. She's also 3 feet, 4 inches. That is not a small woman holding that cat. But she's got a 5'9" vertical leap. She can actually jump from the floor and hit my ceiling fan poles at 3 a.m. And there's a reason I told you all this. Both of them are now world famous calendar girls, with Godzilla as April and Rodan as August in this year's ARRL calendar that features cats and shacks. And of course, our CEO, Dave Minster's cat, got the front cover there. And here's some more breaking news. My latest book, More Arduino for Ham Radio, has been published. It's been out probably about 6 to 8 months. It came out in August, so about almost a year now. This book includes 10 completely new and unique ham radio related projects, but some of these projects are actually multiple projects within a project. There's variations on the design and just a little more functionality. So you have options on your builds. So realistically, there's more like 17 and 18 projects that you can build, just a whole lot of more new fun things to build. Here are some of the projects that are in that book. Those of you familiar with the Yaesu product line, you have the Yaesu FH2 keypad controller. I can't find mine right off the hand, but they have a keypad controller that you can connect to the rig and control the rig functions from that keypad. But that's about $100 if you had to buy it. So I decided, no, we're going to build it for $10 with an Arduino. And then the Peltier cooler chips are the little chips that you apply voltage to, and one side gets super hot and the other side gets super cold, and it basically draws the heat to the cold side, or vice versa. And so I built a controller for that. Those of you that are from my generation, we had the old Mercury Cougar with the flashing tail light, and I think they've actually brought it back for the current Mustang series. But I built a rotator turn indicator that as your rotor's turning, the lights will blink in the direction of rotation. And then that's followed up with another project of the rotator position indicator, which is a single LED on a compass dial that will tell you the direction of your antenna. And this is really good for field day type events, overnight events where you can't see the meter or the lights burned out in your meter, whatever. And this will let you see where the antenna rotator is. You can also build your own AR40 rotator controller. If you ever come up with just the motor, you can build your own controller for that. You can also modify an existing AR40 controller. And this one was chosen because I pretty much done all the other ones. And the AR40 is a different design, but it's current production from MFJ, and it's their lowest priced rotator. You also have the USB CW keyboard. If you've ever worked me on CW, I apologize. I do not have a fist worth listening to. So I built a keyboard that I could type with. And I did this in the first book, but that was using the PS2 interface, and it's very hard to find those keyboards now. So I redid it with a standard USB interface. And so now all my CW is typed. And then we've got the Yaesu CAT display, and this will connect to the late model Yaesu rigs and pull out some of the CAT information such as mode, VFO A and B frequencies and things of that nature. You can actually access any of the CAT commands that you want and display them on a little color display. And then we go back to the CDE and the high gain rotators, and we give it a keypad. So it doesn't need a computer. There's a little 4x4 keypad, and I can actually punch in the bearing, tell it to go, and it'll rotate the antennas to that bearing without needing a computer. And then finally, there's a radio teletype reader that will actually listen on the air and decode the tones and display them on one of the little 3-inch color displays. And so now let's get back into the fun here. To me, the Arduino really is more of an adventure than anything else. It can be a lot of fun for everyone. When it comes to the Arduino, you're only limited by your imagination, as long as it doesn't violate the laws of physics. If your project idea does appear to violate the laws of physics, you might just need a bigger hammer, more voltage. If you've got a friend that's got explosives, get real friendly. But you're going to be amazed at some of the projects that you can actually build with the Arduino. And why do you want to choose it? After all these years, it's been out now for 10 plus years. It still is one of the hottest trends in do-it-yourself electronics. It's got the ability to sense and control just about anything, and it's ideally suited for these homebrew electronic projects. And the best part, a lot of this cool stuff is free. It's low cost or free. The development software is free. The add-on libraries are free. Even the PC board designed to fabricate your own Arduino board is free. The pre-built boards, shields, and sensors are all low cost. So it doesn't take a huge investment to get started with the Arduino. And of course, it's easy to program using their integrated development environment. And this runs on a PC, Mac, or Linux workstation. And due to the pandemic chip shortage, the price has doubled. These compatible boards now cost a whopping $6 with free shipping, but you can still get them. They used to be $3, and I just ordered some Nanos the other day and they were $3. So prices are starting to drop again for them. Your basic Uno is still your most common Arduino board. It's based on the Atmel 18 Mega 328, which is an 8-bit, 16 megahertz CPU. It's got a whopping 32K of flash memory, 2K of RAM, and 1K of double EEPROM. So we're flashing back to the 70s and 80s here in terms of computer horsepower. It's 14 digital I/O pins. 6 of these can do pulse width modulation for dimming LEDs and motor control and things of that nature. It's got 6 analog input pins with a 10-bit A to D converter. And those analog pins can also be used for digital I/O if you need a little more digital I/O. It's powered by that 7 to 20 volt DC powered connector on the board or via the onboard USB port. Higher powered Arduino boards come up to 32 bits and 600 megahertz now. And these are typically based on the ARM Cortex CPU series. All of them are seamlessly supported by the Arduino IDE. And this means that programs you compile for one CPU can easily be transferred over to a different one, literally with a selection of an option in the IDE to change to the other board. No code changes or anything of that nature. As you can see here are some of the Arduino boards. The Nano is the same thing as an Uno, only it's about 2 postage stamps long. It's that a very small footprint. You've got the Teensy 4.1, and this is the monster I was talking about. 600 megahertz, 32 bits, 8 mega flash, 55 I/O pins, and 18 analog in. It's got an onboard SD memory slot and 10100 Ethernet, all integrated on that $27 board. You've got the Arduino Mega 2560. This is, again, same era as the Uno, and it's got 54 I/O pins, but it's still a 16 megahertz processor. You want to go small, you've got the SparkFun MicroView, and that's actually got a 64 by 48 pixel organic LED display. And that's literally the size of a postage stamp. And the USB connector you see on it, that's actually the programming carrier. You actually plug that in, and then you plug the MicroView into that carrier. And then when you've got it programmed, you pull it off of the carrier. So just what you see in black there is actually the MicroView. You've got the wearable LilyPad Snap. This is essentially an Arduino Uno, and it was designed to be sewn into clothing with conductive thread. It's got a snap-on lithium battery that you can remove, and you can actually wash this stuff. And you'll see a lot of the science fiction costuming cosplayers use this technology for their costumes. And then finally, you've got the Mini Mega, which is the exact same functionality as the Mega, but it's much smaller. It's only about 3/4 the size of an Uno. And now Arduino, if you notice, it has these headers running around the edge of the board, and that's pretty much a standard footprint for the Uno series and a whole bunch of the Arduino family. And these are expansion connectors that allow us to stack add-on boards. And in the Arduino world, they're known as shields. Shields can be used to quickly and easily add devices and functionality such as displays, GPS, Ethernet, wireless, voice recognition, motor drivers, pretty much you name it. And a lot of these, if not all of them, have pre-written drivers that are known as libraries in the Arduino world. And they come with example code that you can use in your own programs. And that's part of the fun here is you can freely cut and paste other people's code and use it in yours. It's all open source, so everybody's sharing everything. And the Arduino also supports several industry standard I/O buses and protocols. This allows it to directly interface with just hundreds of devices and modules. Some of these modules include a direct digital frequency synthesis module. I could never say that word. I'm going to have to change it in the script here. Also known as a DDS. It's got LCD, LED, and thin film transistor color displays, GPS, text speech, lightning detection, just all manner of things. As you can see here on the right, that's a 0 to 62.5 megahertz DDS frequency synthesizer. And it's accurate to within 0.0125 hertz. So you're not going to have a whole lot of drift there. And so as with shields, most of these modules and have pre-written module drivers and libraries and come with example code as well. So it's a real easy to use this add-on equipment. Those keypads you heard me talk about earlier, there's 2 new styles of 4x4 keypads. The one on the left has removable keycaps so that you can add your own labels. The one on the right has an RGB addressable LED behind each key that you can light with the keyboard. Here's the use for one of those keypads. You heard me talking about that rotator controller with a keypad. Using one of the 4x4 keypads there, I actually can input the bearing, press go, and it will rotate the controller automatically. Don't need a computer or anything. And then on top of the controller there, you can see one of the TFT displays that actually is displaying the rotator status, whether it's turning left or right, whether it's braking, because this design adds braking to a controller that even doesn't have braking. And of course, gives you the bearing that you're currently pointing at. And it doesn't affect the normal operation of the controller. So you can use it and the front panel switches as normal. And this can be adapted to just about any antenna rotator. Here's some other cool new parts. You've got these individually addressable LED rings and strips. They're available in all sorts of sizes. They also come in strips, and you can get these strips up to 10 meters long with 300 LEDs on the strip. And each LED is a separate RGB LED that you can drive with pulse width modulation for fading and blinking and changing coloring and all that stuff. The color TFT, which is thin film transistor displays, now come in a variety of sizes and resolutions, all the way from 1.8 inches all the way up to 7 inches and beyond now. They're up into the 8, 9, and 11 inches, I believe. And most of these include touchscreen capability. And on the right there, you can see the controller board and the display. And that controller board supports touchscreen, and it's a shield that plugs right into the top of the Arduino. If you want to go small, you've got the Mini Uno, and this is the same thing as an Uno, except it's been shrunk down to 1.3 by 1 inch in size. And that's literally the size of a quarter. And so, but it's got the same functionality of the larger Uno, but it's $17. The Pico, and don't confuse this with the Raspberry Pi Pico, totally different monster, is actually smaller than a dime. And it's got 12 digital and 5 analog I/O pins. And that is really side by side with the dime. It was just the contrast tweaking and getting it on the slide here that made the the dime look like it's fake. but that is real side-by-side photo. And both of these are made by Melbel Electronics, and these just came out earlier this year. Now, programming the Arduino is done using the free Arduino Integrated Development Environment, also known as the IDE. This IDE runs on a PC, Mac, or Linux workstation, and you use it to create, edit, upload, and debug your Arduino programs. And in the Arduino world, they're called sketches. And the reason they're called sketches is the Arduino was actually created at an art institute in northern Italy. It was designed to be used by artists, writers, screenwriters, cinematographers, non-technical people. And it was designed for them to learn how to use it. So when you stop and think about us using the Arduino, it's got to be easy. If they can do it, we can do it. We actually taught a 9-year-old girl how to program her Arduino robotic cart that she actually built. So she learned to solder and program in the same weekend. Once uploaded, these sketches run completely standalone from the Arduino's semi-permanent flash memory. You can rewrite that memory up to like 100,000 times, so you can reuse your stuff constantly. And these sketches are written in a simplified, easy to learn variation on C++, and it itself is based on 2 open source projects called Processing and Wiring. You've heard me talking about libraries, and they're little more than pre-written module and device drivers and functions that you can quickly and easily add to your sketches. Think of them as black box code. You don't need to mess inside. You don't even need to look at them. You just include them in your project and off you go. A number of these libraries are built into the IDE, and you can always go and download additional libraries. They're all over the internet. Odds are, if you're looking to interface something, somebody's already done it. And this is the power of the Arduino's open source model. An entire community is developing and freely sharing their code and libraries. And this saves you the time and trouble of writing it yourself. Most of these libraries include example code that you literally cut and paste into your sketch, and you're up and running. So the Arduino and its now many variants is really a group of very versatile, inexpensive, and easy to use microcontrollers. Because of this, the Arduino family has rapidly become the development tool of choice for makers and hams alike. Its versatility allows it to be used for simple children's projects, complex robotics and other maker projects, and of course, a wide range of ham applications. Many of your 3D printers and flying drones are powered by an Arduino. Those of you that remember the Tentec Rebel and Patriot, and the now current BitX 40, MicroBitX, and SBitX, these are all Arduino powered transceivers. Many of your ham radio balloon projects are using an Arduino that's transmitting Whisper, QRSS, and or APRS telemetry. The Arduino also has additional VHF and UHF transceiver capability with the Hobby PCB and the Ham Shield add-on shields. And these are literally shields that stack on top of the Arduino. But the Arduino also has a serious side. During COVID, a group of doctors and hams got together back when they were having that severe shortage of ventilators for patients, and they used an Arduino to build a low-cost COVID-19 patient ventilator. And this is being currently evaluated for FDA approval. Of course, it was used for emergency approval during the initial COVID outbreak. So it can be done for serious stuff too. But it can be used for children's projects such as the Firefly jar. And that is a picture of it there. And it actually flickers those lights. So it looks like you got fireflies captured in the jar, and other simple to build projects. It's also great for hobby projects such as drone autopilots. Model railroaders have gotten into this, controlling their whole layout. And of course, there's the wearable electronics that I was talking about earlier. So you can build some pretty cool toys. It's ideally suited for ham radio projects. As you can see, you can interface your older antenna rotators and control them by Ham Radio Deluxe and other software. You can build your own electronic memory keyer, send CW by typing on a keyboard, GPS-based UTC time and grid square display. And think about it. If you're a rover in a contest and you're driving alone, you don't want to be looking down and figuring out what grid you're in and what time it is for your log. You just build this and let it play and use a recorder. And now you can actually live record your whole thing and log it that way. You can build your own digital VFOs and displays, which is great for modernizing your older rigs, get rid of the drift issues and things of that nature. You can build a lightning detector that will detect lightning up to 40 kilometers away, which is just under 25 miles. And that you can have it automatically disconnect your antennas until the storm's passed. And you can do virtually any other application where you need to sense and control things. And building this stuff is easy. Most of these projects only need a handful of wires, and you don't have to be a genius to follow a schematic diagram. The form of schematic shown here is known as a fritzing, and it was created using the free version of the fritzing program. They now have a free and a paid version, but you can still use the free version. And as you can see here, there's like what, 15 wires in this diagram? How long does it take to solder up 15 wires? And that is the talking grid square display with a GPS and speech synthesizer and a display. And these fritzing diagrams are what are commonly used in the Arduino world to create a simplified version of the schematic diagram. And they show an actual physical representation versus the schematic's symbolic representation. You can literally look at that and match wire for wire, and you will have that project working without ever having to know how a schematic works. And of course, you're going to want some tools to help you test and build these things. One of the things I like is these inexpensive component testers. These make identifying your components and their values so much easier. When they went to that 5-band resistor color code, I was lost. Then they went to the 3-digit numeric capacitor code, and I'm like, I can't understand this. So now I plug it in there and I don't need to know. It'll also identify semiconductors for you, such as transistors, tell you what type it is, NPN or PNP, tell you the pin out, give you some basic parameters, and even show you a little graphic of the pin out. And these are available on eBay for about $10. Now mine, as you can see here, it came with a security option. That is hers. I am not allowed to borrow it. I have to trade, beg, and steal. And that was being the picture I was taking for the book. And I had to crop that heavily and move her paw to get that picture. Another tool you're going to want is a logic analyzer. This is similar to an oscilloscope, only it's for digital signals only. You can view multiple channels. In the case here, you can see 16 channels, and it can be triggered based on events. And it's all displayed on a standard PC over the onboard USB connector. This one does 16 channels up to 100 megahertz, and it can show an input voltage range or it can handle an input voltage range of plus or minus 50 volts. So you're going to have to work hard to blow this thing up. And on the little label on it, you can see the representation of what the logic analyzer is going to show you when you connect it to your device and projects. A lot of people have asked me, where do you go to get an Arduino starter kit? And initially I went to eBay and bought one there for about 50, 75 bucks. And half of the parts are still somewhere here that I've never even used. So what I'm really looking at these days, the Dr. Arduino Pioneer and the Explorer project kits are really good platforms to learn and develop projects using the Arduino. The Pioneer is a great starter kit, and the Explorer is an excellent prototyping platform for larger ones. I use the Explorer all the time. But as you can see here on the Pioneer, it's got the Arduino Uno that's mounted below the board, and it stacks on like a shield. It's got potentiometers, LEDs, an LED strip, a piezoelectric buzzer, and 4 push buttons. Plus, it's got connectors for external components. And that's $59. It also comes with a tutorial package, so you can use it to learn how to work with the Arduino. And the Explorer has the same basic thing, although it has 2 breadboarding areas, 1 solder area and 1 breadboard. And it's got an onboard 128 by 32 pixel organic LED. And the Pioneer was reviewed in the November 2020 issue of QST, and the Explorer was in the January 2021 issue, if you'd like to know more about those. And let's see here. There we go. Another one of my tools is the Phase Dock Workbench. And this is essentially a breadboarding system on steroids. It uses a system of interchangeable component platforms known as clicks and slides that you can customize that layout. And as you can see here, I've got the Arduino Uno with an expansion shield stacked on it, and then a breadboard area, and that goes to a TFT display. And over on the right, you can see a pair of pots. This was actually the prototype for the AR40 rotator controller. And I took it straight from there and wired it up into the project, but it was actually designed on.
Excuse,
Glenn.
excuse me, excuse
Glenn,
me a
we-
second.
We lost
you're
your
not,
slides.
Okay.
Can you, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
reshare it?
Okay. Got it?
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Need me to go back or are we good?
We're good. Go from
Okay.
there.
And you can also get an optional plastic cover for this so that you can carry it around, makes it totally portable, keeps the demon children from messing with it. And this was reviewed in the April 2020 issue of QST. And so now you're going to ask, what can you build? And I'm going to counter with, what can't you build? It's designed to sense and control things. It's easy to program, and it makes it ideally suited for all manner of ham radio, robotics, and home automation projects. Building Arduino powered projects is easy. Using the IDE and the add-on libraries, the actual programming will often take less time than it does to wire the whole project up. And here are things you can build. Look around your shack and think about things you'd like to automate. The most dangerous words that you can ever hear me say are, wouldn't it be cool if? If you ever hear me say those words, that means something really crazy is about to happen, and we're gonna work it out, and then I'm gonna go home and we're gonna build it. Those simple words at a ham club breakfast meeting led to the creation of that lightning detector that can detect lightning at a distance up to 40 kilometers. And that's a picture of it there. And we actually used that at a field day about 6 years ago. It was constantly storming the entire weekend, and we had the lightning detector. And basically, if there was lightning in the area, we weren't on the air. But as soon as it was over, 40 kilometers away, we'd get back on the air. You can also modernize your antenna rotators. Yeah, if you notice there on the top right, you've got the CDE high gain ham series rotators. And there's a spot right between the transformer and the motor capacitor where you can actually stick an Uno and the interface board and mount it right there. So it's all internally mounted. And right above the transformer are the 3 control relays, which just literally power the front, parallel the front panel switches. And you can also give this a voice recognition module. So now you can give your antenna rotator voice control. And as you can see here, it actually interfaces to Ham Radio Deluxe, and you can point and click anywhere on that map and it will rotate the antennas automatically for you. Or you can also build an Arduino powered CW transceiver, in this case, a 40-meter CW transceiver. And it's actually got a dual range receive incremental tuning built in, dual speed tuning rate, and it covers the entire 40-meter band. It's got a built-in 5 to 35 word a minute CW keyer, and you can even see your battery voltage on the display. And it's all built into a baseball or golf ball trophy. It's actually a golf ball trophy display case that I got at Hobby Lobby for about $10. So it's kind of like one of those ship in a bottle projects. And some of the other Arduino powered transceivers, the MicroBitX, it's an Arduino powered 80 through 10 meter CW and sideband transceiver that comes as a semi kit. And as with its predecessor, the BitX40, the main board on the right there is completely assembled. All you have to do is wire up the external components, such as the tuning, volume controls, and things of that nature, put it in an enclosure, and off you go. It comes with the Arduino module, which is the Arduino Nano paired with the SI5351 DDS module. And it's fully programmable, so you could customize this any way you'd like. It includes a 16 by 2 line display, but this has been updated here recently, and it's now coming with a 2.8 inch 320 by 240 color touchscreen display. And this whole thing's $199, gives you 10 watts out. Now here's the later version. You can modify this thing to your heart's content. And you are talking, you can add your touchscreen filtering, controlling, and band and modes, and literally everything. And so thanks to the world of open source, all of this modification information, the designs, the software, it's online right now, and it's all free. And they've even got a user group that'll help you with this stuff. So now you can take your inexpensive MicroBitX and give it the look, feel, and functionality of a much more expensive commercial rig. Another thing that hams are now doing is we're experimenting with high altitude balloons carrying the Arduino telemetry units. You can see the one here on the right's got the Arduino and a GPS on board. And this is a 20-meter board, transmits in the right near the 20-meter band, but it's sending Whisper and APRS telemetry. And these balloons fly at 40,000 feet and can circumnavigate the world multiple times. And you can actually go to aprs.fi and track them. One recent balloon launch here in town by Tom Medlin, W5KUB, was designed to be an up and down launch with a massive telemetry package. It went up with 3 GoPro cameras and all kinds of stuff. It reached an altitude of 109,000 feet. And the recovery team was within 100 yards of it when it came down to the ground 30 miles away. And that was because of the accurate telemetry provided by that Arduino tracker board. Those of you that are really old school, we can remember the Altair 8800. Well, they have actually built a fully functional version of it using an Arduino Mega, and they're selling it as a kit. And this will actually run all of that original 8080 Arduino Altair code. And they've got other ones as well. There's a whole emulator project site that's virtually got every computer known to man. And I just saw in my feed today that somebody's taken the Raspberry Pi Pico and made it into a Sinclair ZX81. So those of you that are into playing with that old stuff, you can do it with an Arduino. So I'm going to say the possibilities are endless. And when it comes to the Arduino, they're really even more so. You're only limited by your imagination. With that open source approach, you've got a whole vast online community that's out there to help that you can draw on for ideas and support. You've got new CPUs, modules, and shields being developed every day that keeps adding to the versatility and power of this fascinating and fun little platform. And don't be fooled by that little $6 price. The Arduino is powerful, it's versatile, it's easy to work with. And how imaginative can you get? That box on the right is a 40-meter JT65 transceiver. And think about this. It uses a CW transmitter board. How many tones are in CW? 2, if you count the on and off. How many tones are in JT65? I'll give you a clue. The number's in the name. How do you get 65 tones out of a CW transceiver? Let's think on that. How endless? How about adding an Arduino, a GPS module, a DDS-driven receiver, and RGB LEDs, and you can turn that MFJ-DX beacon monitor, which is not much more than an atomic time clock synced to the beacon sites, into a real beacon monitor. It will light an LED if it actually hears the beacon transmitting at its assigned time. This project is actually on my workbench and is slated for my book that's going to come out after the one I'm currently working on. But wait, I am not done yet. You can add a GPS, a TFT display, and a receiver with a directional antenna, and now build yourself a self-triangulating fox hunt system. Take 2 or 3 triangulation points and let the Arduino do the geometry and math and all that cool stuff for you. And these GPSs are now accurate down to within about 1 meter. So it can actually do all the triangulation and tell you where to go within about 1 meter. And if you can't find the fox on 1 meter, grab a stick and start beating around until you hit it. I will let you know that these are not legal for officially sanctioned fox hunt events, but they're darn sure fun to use with your friends. And there's still more. How about taking a 9 degree of freedom sensor and give it a Bluetooth link to a PC running the satellite tracking software, and you can add a wireless display on the handle there and use it for a targeting display. Give it speech, so now it can tell you left, right, up, and down. So now you don't even need to know and see where to point the antenna. It will tell you and show it to you on the display. And here we are at journey's end. All of you are builders, thinkers, creators, inventors. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put up with me for the last hour and a half. But they're a perfect match for the Arduino. It's an inexpensive and yet powerful platform to create those projects you've always imagined, but you thought they were too difficult to build in code. I remember back in the 80s, I was trying to build a repeater identifier to replace the one that blew up, and I was trying to do it with the Z8 microcontroller. And I don't think we ever really finished that project. It was just too painful. Here, a a friend of mine with that very same repeater took my beacon project out of the first book, switched it over, and it has been the ID for that repeater ever since. Did it in about a day. So imagine the projects that you can build with the Arduino and then go make them happen. You really can. So now it's time for you to begin your own Arduino adventure. And above all, have fun. This is supposed to be fun. Grab the kids, grab the neighbors, grab the family, and build these things and have fun. I mean, it's one of those every day I turn around. At Huntsville, I am bringing a Arduino powered Magic 8-ball. You remember that thing that we had as kids? Well, I built my own and programmed it with custom phrases. And so now I've got an 8-ball with an attitude is what it's called. And it's built on the real frame and everything. So it's just got the electronics inside. So you can have all kinds of fun. Anyway, that's everything I've got. Thank you. I enjoyed it. And y'all got any questions?
All right. Thank you, Glenn.
I probably put everybody to sleep, didn't I?
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, go ahead.
Glenn, thanks for your presentation. What are some good sources to obtain hardware?
Excellent. Believe it or not, eBay is my number one source. And you can get a lot of this stuff for just a few bucks with free shipping. AliExpress and Banggood.com over in China are also a good source. This is the cool thing with the Arduino being open source, anybody can market it and, design it, create it, etc. So I do 90% of my purchasing on eBay. I can get resistors, 100 of them for like $2.50. So you just get masses of parts inexpensively. The TFT displays are like $3. So I typically start with eBay and either AliExpress, Banggood, and then I'll go to SparkFun and Adafruit are two of the commercial Arduino vendors. And SparkFun and Adafruit also have online tutorials, as does the Arduino home site, which is arduino.cc. They have got excellent online tutorials and explanations and how to use some of these devices in various projects. So that's a great place to get started with free stuff. You do not have to buy a book to learn the Arduino.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Other than buying mine.
Right.
And one thing that's not on this presentation that I'll get into real quick, I am currently working, and we discussed it actually at the very beginning here, because that first book is no longer available and my second one is also no longer available. So whoever borrowed his, I would find a way to keep it from going home. But because there were so many good projects in there that people still wanted, ARRL and I have talked about this, and it was kind of a mistake that they took them out of print. And so we are actually going to get the best projects out of those first 3 books and get them back into print. And that's what I'm currently working on. And we're targeting having it out at Dayton next May. And then after that, the crazy stuff happens.
Glenn, this is a Ned A7A, just a short testimonial. I read your book when it came out, and we pressed into service, I think it's 4 Arduinos in our remote 2-meter moon bounce system.
Oh, wow.
Down in Maricopa. We made a remote bird watt meter. I mean, birds are fine things, but you got to be standing right in front of them to use them. And for a remote site, we needed to interact with the sensor and then do all the math to generate SWR values and stuff like that. And it was a great project, and patterned after many of your projects in your original book. We just followed your approach, which is the important part, and
right,
just substituted our problem for what you were tackling, and it worked really great. And I do appreciate what you do. Publishing these projects are really great.
Outstanding. And I want to say, I don't do this so much for you as I do it for me. These
Sure.
are all projects that I wanted to build and I wanted for me. My satellite rotor controller, it's right here. It's the one I built for the first book and it has stayed right here on my desk. And so, I mean, I use everything that I build in these projects, and I'm just grateful that y'all have, you know, found a use and enjoy them as much as I did.
One more short little story. Yeah, I cut my teeth. I mean, we obviously, started about the same time, and I actually know what to do with an Altair 8888. What I'm finding is I build still, and I do a lot of discrete logic designs, but my supply of CMOS or TTL and dual inline packages is running out, and I can't find them on eBay anymore. And Mauser, nobody sells them anymore. And the cheapest solution to making a NOR gate is to get an Arduino and program it to a NOR gate. I mean, really, it is.
Yeah.
If you spend 30 or 40 bucks for an IC, the one you want, because I can't surface mount parts to save my butt.
No. Actually, on W5KUB.com next week, we are going to see my second attempt at surface mount soldering. My first one was a horrible failure multiple years ago.
Yeah.
So I am not a surface mount guy. I much prefer the through hole stuff.
Yeah, that's really killed project work because you get a fine pitch proto board. It's just, I mean, a huge space just for one little chip. It's really not conducive to doing small projects. It's almost like you have to be near production ready for something, and then create tons of boards, and it's crazy.
Most of the projects in my books cost under $50, and a lot of them are even below that, under 30 even. But the JT65 transceiver cost a whopping $50 to build. And you can even build it cheaper now. So, and they're actually transmitting JT9 on those high altitude balloons as well. So they're doing the same thing. And to answer that original question, how do you get 65 tones out of CW rig? You know the answer. Think back in the day, we had frequency shift keying on radio teletype. All we do is rapidly shift the frequency, and on the receiving end, it sounds like a tone. And so we get 65 frequency shifts at the correct time frame, and that will create the JT65 tones. So it's just a simple, if you think about it, how hard is it to do frequency shift keying? With a DDS, it switches at 1/1,000,000th of a second. So you're not going to have any timing concerns. So it's a highly accurate frequency shift keying source. And the 5351's like, what, $4? It's a very cheap chip. Oh, and by the way, I actually have that Altair 8800 as a kit. It's over here waiting to get built. I also bought the PDP 1145 kit. They got a bunch of them.
I used to work for DEC. I know the PDP 11s.
I used to work for Control Data. I used to repair the PDP 11s.
Yeah, I worked final assembly and test in New Hampshire and in Massachusetts.
Oh, outstanding.
And I actually, after I got out of the service, I went to Control Data Institute in Michigan. So there we go.
Yeah. Now I was the RM05 disk drive guru way back then, but
oh God.
But yeah, they actually have a kit of this, of the 1145 and the PDP-8, and I have all three because I cut my teeth on the PDP-8M, and so they have this emulator project online, and they literally have hundreds of those older processors that you can now build an emulator. Most of them are built to run on the Raspberry Pi, but they have a handful of the Arduino ones as well. So I know we kind of got off topic there, but you know, back to the old days, and it's kind of fun.
All right, did we have any other questions for Glenn? All right, thanks, Glenn. We'll let you go. We've got a business meeting coming up, but you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. And really appreciate you presenting to our group tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'd love to come back anytime you want to see the new one.
Okay, yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks a bunch.
Thanks,
Appreciate it,
Glenn.
guys. I
Thank you.
enjoyed it.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. I got muted, lost my controls. We're going to take maybe a 5-minute break here, and then we'll be right back. All right, we'll give the floor to Mike to cover our expenses for this month.
Okay, that's current except for one minor detail. When I went over to mail a new badge to somebody, I forgot to take the debit card for the account. So I ended up paying cash for that, $4.50. So that petty cash that's been $93 forever is now $88.50. We did get our cut of the ham license plate fee share from ARCA this month. So that's another $138 and change we got added. And the other upcoming expense is the reimbursement to Virgil for getting these wireless microphones for us. And that's about where we're at. Right now, we've got $9,520 and change in total, counting the petty cash.
Okay, any questions for Mike? Thanks, Mike. Okay, yeah, and I think we reported this last month, but the ARL did announce the scholarships. Daniel Lavey, KJ7 EVL, was awarded the CADXA scholarship of $1,000. And we're going to reach out to him and let him know he's got an honorary membership for a year. So I think that's still in process. But anyway, just announcing that again. All right, yeah, and then we also wanted to, the board has been started discussion on trying to have a banquet in January or February. We really need to secure a location or get the ball rolling at the very least. With losing the para club as an option. We've looked at things like Rustler's Roost, but or other locations, but I know it can. Yeah, some of the info we've got back looks like it's going to be pretty expensive, and kind of just wanted to query, or I don't know if there's any discussion to be had on. Should we move forward? Is that something that the group wants to do, or yeah, or what should we do at this point? Because we don't want to spend a ton of time or organizing a banquet if that's not the right direction at this time, right? We'll let John have that.
Hi, this is John, N7NWL. And as you may recall, during 2022, I worked on getting a barbecue put together for May of this year, and that did not work out for a lot of reasons. And it's been a couple of years since we've had either awards, banquets, or barbecues, or much of anything like that. And what we wanted to do is, one, let everybody know that the board is aware of that and that we are working on something for 2023. Right now, it's in a real fluid state, but that's okay because everybody's going back through COVID, blah, blah, blah. And what we're trying to look at, as Virgil said, we would really like to have some sort of an awards banquet, probably January, February-ish of 2023. We don't know exactly where it's going to be yet, presuming we're going to have one. We don't know what the costs are going to be, but they are higher than historically because that's what everything has transitioned to. And one thing that I've been able to do is talk to some of the banquet folks at what was the old Sheraton over there, basically north of the Broadway curve. And that has some definite possibilities. Pricing is not too exorbitant, but it's not cheap. And so we're working on a banquet, maybe there, maybe somewhere else. For the barbecue, we're exploring a May timeframe because it's not too hot, not too cold, and possibly have it not at the Para Club because that seems to be a closed door, but we're still working on that also. But maybe at Kiwanis Park, which is about 4 or 5 miles away from Para Club. They've got some really nice ramadas that can be reserved. They're affordable. And then we could do a couple of things there. One, depending upon the size of attendees, we could potentially have the function catered by somebody. We've used Famous Dave's before. That's always an option, but we don't have solid answers for that. Or if it's a small group, that's also perfectly acceptable. But the ramadas that I've looked at, which are some of the larger ramadas, actually have barbecue grills and things like that. So conceivably, we could do a potluck, which would minimize cost and everybody could essentially bring what they want. So it's still being worked on. There's not going to be any quick overnight solutions. We do want to solicit input from the members. If you want to send me emails, my call sign again, November 7, November Whiskey Lima. If you go to qrz.com, my email address is there, which is wa7nwl@gmail.com. Send me your thoughts, questions, complaints, and things like that, what you'd like to see, so that we can take that and kind of fine tune the direction that we're headed in. So presuming that kind of makes sense, again, the information we want going out tonight is that we're aware that we need to get something done. We have not forgotten about it. And we're moving forward with it. So anyway, any questions right this very minute? Yeah, and we also do have some access to some church facilities. So we've got a couple of options for different locations and things like that. We're working on it. But I think that I've talked long enough and you guys know that I can talk forever, so I will be quiet.
So any comments? All right, I'll move forward. Oops. Okay, Israel, did you have anything for us on this yet for the quarterly DXCC reports?
We are moving the right direction. We're progressing. I worked with Larry last month, and we believe the report is ready to go. The tool to create the reports. Right now I'm working with Lee in order to understand how we can put the logistics so the members can put up the reports. We're gonna probably work with the group's IO and the Slack. So we will put the Excel spreadsheet up there. The members will collect them. Then they will do the updates and they will upload back. But we still have to run some pilots, and also Lee and I were exchanging email today. So this is coming up in the next weeks. So we're getting close to a solution that's going to work. And the good part is once we get the reports out, we will be able to actually create reports on the fly, literally, within 1 hour or so after receiving the reports. But there is still, a few things to be done between now and then. And I appreciate, the inputs from Larry as well as from Lee that I'm working with right now. That's all I have for now, Virgil.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for the update. Okay, and then Bob, you had.
Yeah, this is Bob, BHM, K7 BHM. Just the status of the repeater is that it's up, running, and I know that Brian, W7JET, has done a great job on getting it set up over there at what he calls the castle. It's owned by the Superstition Radio Club, using their tower, our antennas, and our repeaters, and it's been working quite well since he's done that. That's about 8 months ago, and hopefully everybody face their beams toward the east and should be able to pick it up and use it. I know I do it every once in a while myself, but we've got it now and it's permanent, so we're glad for that. Yeah, another announcement that I'll be making. I know all of you are familiar, of course, with the Navajo Code Talkers. Every year, Herb N7HG coordinates with the Tribal Council up at Window Rock to get his portable radio on the air using November 7 Charlie as the call letters. Well, we're going to be doing that again this year. I think it's my 8th year of participation with Herb on that. And I know Ray, W7 USA, has been doing it, I think, for about 10 years with Herb. It's a great organization. We have a lot of fun with it. We will be on the air starting next Wednesday, I believe. That's August 10th. And we'll be operating through August 14th, which is the declared holiday or national day for the Code Talkers. And that's going to be a Sunday. So look for us. I personally will be using DX Summit for my spots and DXscape for some of the spots too. If you hear us, give us a call. It's going to be myself on the air. Herb is going to be on the air from the location, which is just east of Window Rock this year. Actually, it's in New Mexico and off the reservation. I don't know what happened. The Tribal Council got it all screwed up, and they're off the reservation in New Mexico this year for the parade and for the organization happenings. There's going to be a gourd dance there too in the afternoon. Also, along with myself and Ray and Herb, there is going to be the fellow that's been working with Herb for quite a while. I think his name is Bill, W5PDW out of Texas. We're all going to be on the air and we're all going to be spotting. So if you would like a QSL N7CW or a N7CW, sorry, Ned, or a Bud, November 7 Charlie, send a card up to Herb up in Lukachukai, just north of Window Rock, and he'll get a card or a certificate out to you for the QSO. Anyway, that's it. We're going to have a lot of fun and should be able to report the activity for next meeting. 73 to everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Did we have any other club business, anything that needed to be discussed? Okay, we'll move on to Tom.
Okay, thank you, Virgil. Not a lot of surprises. not too many people changed standings here. But again, Rick is leading the group in terms of working all the bands. And of course, K7SP, hi there, Steve, is doing a great job with 50 watts. Just to me, it's just an amazing set of numbers for all those bands. And I see him quite often on FT8 working all kinds of DX, sometimes stuff that I can't work. So if we go on to the next slide, again, this is one of those off the wall things I came up with. A triple play, 15 different countries to work on CW phone and digital. And I haven't quite made it to all of them. I think the 5 Tango 5 is going to be impossible because I don't think Johannes does any CW. Although I think once in a while he gets on contests with a different call. Anyway, if you go back through your log and you feel up to it, you could probably add either the double play or the triple play. Just go through your log and see what you got. For the next, we have the HF Marathon. Again, we got 4 people over 200 total. And I'm sure a lot of people that are within striking distance of hitting 200 total. And I'm not sure, but I think they have a club competition, which I might look into and see if we want to do an aggravated club entry for the CQ World Marathon. And of course, Steve, with his 50 watts, is sitting there in 3rd place. Very good numbers. Going on to the DXpeditions, we've got a bunch of them coming up. Maybe I've got to, maybe I bit off more than we want to chew, but there's a lot of DXpeditions coming up in October, November. And I sent out a note on the 3B9 that should be coming up in another day or so. I didn't realize they're all going to run separate calls. And sounds like, according to Bernie and DX, Daily DX, looks like they're going to concentrate on the Q100 satellite, which leaves us out of the footprint. But anyway, so what I decided was work any 3B9 and count it the way we do as normal. And then we've got a JW coming up and a D6. Those should be somewhat challenging, I think. For 6 meters, the 6 meter season is pretty well over, but you never know, because I know we've had openings into mid-August. But you'll see KY7M, 63 countries, and I understand he has a 8 element on a 30-foot boom, and I think you can see the results of that. Anyway, hopefully we'll have a few more openings, and of course there's always media scatter coming up. We got the Perseids this month and some other meteor showers. Going on to the last couple, not too much activity there, but I've been trying to run some unusual modes. In fact, last weekend I entered the Hellschreiber sprint. And I think I made 7 contacts. It was an interesting situation because the software will decode the pixels, but it doesn't decode any of the information. So you have to sit there with a paper and pencil, write down what's sent. But anyway, it's kind of fun and interesting. And then for the alphabet soup, Steve, you can, if you want to let me know if you work Qatar or not. That was one of the letters I sort of left out. And I don't know if anybody's worked 7.0 or not, but there is a guy, I guess, that's somewhat active. Anyway, keep sending me data and come up if you have any ideas for something else as an activity, feel free to let me know. Back to Virgil.
All right, thanks, Tom. Yeah, unless anybody else has anything, I think that's all we have for tonight. All right, thanks for joining tonight, and we'll see you guys all next month.
Have a great everybody.
Night, everybody.